time has arrived where Greg should become the chief executive officer of the company at year end.
I'm Warren Buffett, the chairman of Berkshire Hathaway.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Charlie is in fine shape, and he'll be back next year. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. And thanks for coming. Yeah, don't wear out all your clapping on Charlie. I mean, thank you very, very much for coming. And I not only hope that you come next year, but I hope I come next year. Charlie and I, so I called Charlie up. Charlie always thought I did too many things. Charlie always told me that having a few problems was good for me. Charlie was probably the best person you could imagine in what he learned. Charlie was never satisfied with just superficial things about any subject. He really wanted to understand it. He was a remarkable teacher. But if you get lucky like I did, you find it when you're very young, and then just keep doing it, and don't worry too much about starting salaries, and be very careful who you work for, because you will take on the habits of the people around you. Who you associate with is just enormously important. Have your life progress in the general direction of the people that you work with, that you admire, that become your friends. I tried to be associated with smart people too, where I could learn a lot from them. They're people that make you want to be better than you are. And you want to hang out with people that are better than you are, and that you feel are better than you are, because you're going to go in the direction of the people that you tried to be associated with. Smart people too, where I could learn a lot from them. And I would try to look for something that I would do if I didn't need the money. I mean, what you're really looking for in life is something where you've got a job that you'd hold if you didn't need the money, and I've had that. Charlie had it for a very, very long time. Every one of those ones I named, they always did more than their share. They never sought more than their share of the credit. You'd like anybody you work with, and when you find them, you treasure them, and when you don't find them, you still keep doing whatever causes you to eat. But you don't give up on looking around, and you'll find people do wonderful things for you. I mentioned you only have to get rich once. I mean, you don't want to do anything that risks what's been created. So if very stupid things are happening around you, you do want to participate. If people are making more money because they're borrowing money, he had setbacks, I had setbacks. I mean, it's part of life, and having the time of your life while you're having some major setback, but it comes with lifetime. So I would focus on the things that have been. Why work at 90 when you've got more money than anybody could count? If they started today and having machines that are helping them and everything else, it means nothing in terms of how you're going to live when things are going, or when the time comes to act. You want to get it done that day. The world makes big mistakes, and surprises happen in dramatic ways, and the more sophisticated the system gets, the more the surprises can be out of right field. That's part of the stock market, and that's what makes it a good place to focus your efforts if you've got the proper temperament for it, and a terrible place to get involved if you get frightened by markets that decline and get excited when stock markets go up. I don't mean to sound particularly critical. I mean, I know people have emotions, but you got to check them at the door when you invest. Trade should not be a weapon when you have 7.5 billion people don't like you very well, and you got 300 million that are crowing in some way about how well they've done. I don't think it's right, and I don't think it's wise. I do think that the more prosperous the rest of the world becomes, it won't be at our expense. the more prosperous we'll become, and the safer we'll feel, and your children will feel someday. So that's trade developed an AI in the next 10 years for a Jeep. So if you gave me a choice, gave me a choice of having $100 billion available to participate in an insurance, property casualty insurance business for the next 10 years, and a choice of getting the top AI product out of whoever's developing it, or having a Jeep making the decision, I would take the Jeep anytime. So, and I'm not kidding about that. Okay, long-term trend is up. Nobody knows, but they spend all their time talking about it because it's easy to talk about, but it has no value. I don't know any good way to solve that problem, but Charlie always told me that having a few problems was good for me. I never quite understood that, but if you listen to him moralize, you would understand. And it's not an impossible problem at all. 10 years old, the chances that you're going to die the next day are low. Get to be 115 or something like that. It's almost a cinch. Particularly if you're a male. I mean, all the records are held by females in terms of age. And I tried to get Charlie to have a sex change so he could test out whether...
First of all, I just want to say how grateful I am for getting the opportunity to ask you a question. When it comes to your principles of investing, you often talk about how important it is to be patient. Has there ever been a situation in your investing career where breaking that principle and acting fast has benefited you? Thank you.
Well, that's a good question. And there are times when you have to act fast. In fact, we made a great deal of money because we're willing to act faster than anybody around. In real estate, when you make a big deal with a distressed lender, there's so much more opportunity in the security market than it does in real estate. We're running a business which is very, very, very opportunistic. The long-term trend is up. Nobody knows. We'd spend $100 billion. I mean, and those decisions are not tough to make. When something is offered that makes sense to us and that we understand, we will not be selling any stock. I mean, that will not happen. And we've got at market that in the range of $20 billion invested, but I'd rather. Fiscal policy is what scares me in the United States. All the motivations are to doing a lot of things that will can cause trouble with money. Very substantial inflation in the United States, but it's never been runaway in revenue and the expenditures of the United States, with roughly a 7% gap, when probably a 3% gap is sustainable. And then the further away you get from that, the more you get to where the uncontrollable begins. I enjoy doing, and it's really it's a pretty wonderful life. Charlie always thought I did too many things. He thought if we did about 5 things in our lifetime, we'd end up doing better than if we did 50, and that we never concentrated enough.
This is my first time attending this shareholders meeting. I would like to ask a question about the wisdom of life. Have you ever encountered any major setbacks or low points in your life? And how did you get through and overcome them? Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, everybody gets setbacks, and some people have particularly bad luck in that respect, and others get through with fairly minors. But Charlie, he had setbacks. I had setbacks. I mean, it's part of life, and they're not any fun. I don't have any great advice for you about having the time of your life while you're having some major setback. But it comes with lifetime. You certainly have a setback when you die. And so everybody's got that setback guaranteed to them. But some people get, and I mean, it isn't a laughing matter in a sense, because, I mean, people get extraordinary bad luck, and other people get extraordinary good luck. Usually the people who get good luck don't really think it was so much luck as themselves, but you're just going to have it. I think that you're less likely to have it in terms of medical problems, in terms of various things in life. I mean, you were born at a good time. I mean, if you look all the way through the history of China, when would you rather have been born? 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, or now? It's just hands down, you'd be lucky. I mean, if I came from 20 generations of shepherds, I think I get kind of tired of my life just looking at these sheep every day. But we can sit here and I can watch Nebraska not quite play the same game of football that we played 20 years ago, but I mean, everything in life has been made so much better that you've got to figure that you do a lucky straw by staying in the womb for a couple 100,000 years and then just emerging at the right time. So I would focus on the things that have been good in your life rather than the bad things that happen, because bad things do happen. But it can often be a wonderful life. You could get terrible breaks in it. I mean, so far that really hasn't happened with me, but it's happened with some of my friends. But you get some bad breaks from time to time. But for 94 years, I've been able to drink whatever I want to drink, and they predict all kinds of terrible things for me, but it hasn't happened yet. So, and it's true. I mean, if you look at what pro football players are making now and everything compared to what they were making 30 or 40 years ago, you can say, well, isn't that wonderful? But if you look at the lifespan of professional athletes, after a while you get used to you really decide that you're better off if you really weren't the first one chosen to be on the baseball team or the basketball team or anything else. The human body, well, Charlie and I think I speak for the others to some extent, that we never really exercised that much or did anything. We were carefully preserving ourselves for the years. So, well, look at the bright side of things to the extent that you can, and you're lucky enough to you're here today. You're healthy. You come from a long distance, and you're getting a chance to learn more about something that interests you, and compare that with the situation a couple 100 years ago that you would have been offered. So anyway, that's enough moralizing. Fiscal policy is what scares me in the United States, because it's made the way it is, and all the motivations are doing a lot of things that can cause trouble with money. But that's not limited to the United States. It's all over the world, and some places it gets out of control in the United States, I mean, we should be looking to trade with the rest of the world, and we should do what we do best, and they should do what they do best. The United States, we've won. I mean, we have become an incredibly important country, starting from nothing 250 years ago. There's nothing been anything like it. I do think that the more prosperous the rest of the world becomes, it won't be at our expense. The more prosperous we'll become, and the safer we'll feel, and your children will feel someday. And if you have people that get elected by promising people things, and that doesn't mean that they aren't sincere about all kinds of items, but there's no politician that says to anybody that, at least if they have money, that, I really think you have bad breath, and if you don't mind, would you step over and away from me? It just doesn't happen. And so I think the problem of how you control revenue and expenses in government is the one that is never fully solved, and has really hurt dramatically many civilizations, and I don't think we're immune from it, and we've come close to it. Well, the import certificates were distinct, but their goal was to balance imports against exports, and so that the trade deficit would not grow in an enormous way. In fact, it would have, and it had various other provisions in it to help third world countries at that time, as they were called, to perhaps catch up a little bit. And they had a variety of aspects to them, but basically they were designed to balance trade. And I think you can make some very good arguments for the fact that balanced trade is good for the world, and the more balanced trade there is, the better. It will continue to be better for cocoa to be raised in Ghana, and coffee in Colombia, and a few things. And over time, the American industry has gone from being an agricultural country. This was nothing but an ag country. I mean, virtually, and that was only 250 years ago. And we have become a very industrial country, and we did not want to make that a situation, in my view, where we ran greater and greater deficits, building up greater and greater debts against the country. So I designed this import certificate thing, which Charlie thought was a little Rube, too much like Rube Goldberg. I don't know whether that name is, but it's gimmicky, but it's certainly a lot better than anything I think than we're talking about now. And there's no question that trade can be an act of war, and I think it's led to bad things. Just the attitudes it's brought out in the United States. I mean, we should be looking to trade with the rest of the world, and we should do what we do best, and they should do what they do best. And I don't think it. That's what we did originally. I mean, we were good at producing tobacco and cotton 250 years ago, and we traded it. And we want a prosperous world with 8 countries with nuclear weapons, including a few that are what I would call quite unstable. I do not think it's a great idea to try and design a world where a few countries say, ha, 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 we've won, and other countries are envious. So my import certificate idea, which went no place, I think we've got extra copies, Rob. We've not a great demand for the copies. If anybody did, and if you'd like, and write the office, I think we could probably send you a copy of it. But the main thing to do is not use, trade should not be a weapon. And the United States, we've won. I mean, we have become an incredibly important country, starting from nothing. 250 years ago, there's nothing been anything like it. And it's a big mistake, in my view, when you have 7.5 billion people that don't like you very well, and you got 300 million that are crowing in some way about how well they've done. And I don't think it's right, and I don't think it's wise. I do think that the more prosperous the rest of the world becomes, it won't be at our expense. The more prosperous we'll become, and the safer we'll feel, and your children will feel someday. So that's. But don't expect my import certificate idea to go up down there with Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations or anything. I think I'll do something else that isn't done usually at annual meetings, but I haven't had a chance. I listened to him on Thursday afternoon. It's the only investment quarterly call that I listen to, but I listened to Tim Cook, and I understand, and it'll be tough for me to see him from up here, but Tim Cook, there he is. I'm somewhat embarrassed to say that Tim Cook has made the Berkshire a lot more money than I've ever made Berkshire Hathaway, so credit should be given to him for. I knew Steve Jobs briefly, and Steve, of course, did things that nobody else could have done in developing Apple, but Steve picked out Tim to succeed him, and he really made the right decision. Steve died young, as you know, and nobody but Steve could have created Apple, but nobody could. But Tim could have developed it like it has. So on behalf of all of Berkshire, thank you. I would focus on the things that have been good in your life rather than the bad things that happen, because bad things do happen. But it can often be a wonderful life. You could get terrible breaks in it. I mean, so far that really hasn't happened with me, but it's happened with some of my friends. But you get some bad breaks from time to time. But for 94 years, I've been able to drink whatever I want to drink, and they predict all kinds of terrible things for me, but it hasn't happened yet. So, yeah. The human body. Well, Charlie and I think I speak for the others to some extent, that we never really exercised that much or did anything. We were carefully preserving ourselves for years. So I think there might be a time when I'd be helpful, but Greg would have the tickets, and he would make, like I said, whether it's acquisitions, I think the board would be more welcome to giving him more authority on large acquisitions, probably if they knew I was around. But he would be the chief executive, period. And like I say, the plan is to, and Greg doesn't know anything about this until what he's hearing right now, but that, the board will be able to ask me questions tomorrow. if they act, then obviously we have something to announce to the world. It's a material change in Berkshire, and we'll go forward with that operation, and I will play with a Ouija board or whatever, and that comes out in terms of doing things, but I will not, I have no intention, zero, of selling one share of Berkshire Hathaway. It'll get given away gradually. It just won't. Thank you. Okay, drink your Coke and calm down. I would say that I would add this. The decision to keep every share is an economic decision, because I think the prospects of Berkshire will be better under Greg's management than mine. But you know, I will come in and there may come a time when we get a chance to invest a lot of money, and if that time comes, I think it may be helpful with the board, the fact that they know I've got all my money in the company, and that I think it's smart, and I've seen what Greg has done. So that's the news hook for the day, fellow. And thanks for coming. The enthusiasm shown by that response can be interpreted in two ways, but I'll take a surprise. Thank you.
Chair, sir.
Yeah.